Paul Rykoff, and that brings me to Pete Hegseth, and because this is the biggest single agency in the federal government. I don't think this is 3 million people. It is a multi hundreds of billions of dollars spent a year, maybe a couple trillion, 3 trillion, I think, a year. It's a huge agency. It's a huge organizational beast. And it seems like Donald Trump picked Pete Hegseth because he likes him on TV. Talk about what that might mean. On top of all of the allegations against him, there are a lot of women in the military who've got to be thinking, okay, this guy might not be a leader that we want. Does he seem like a leader of men and women that you would feel confident in as DOD, as head of the Department of Defense?
He's the most radical, most political nomination for Secretary of Defense in American history. I also think he's the least qualified, and now maybe the most disqualified, which is also really important to underscore here. I mean, on the policy standpoint, which can't go by the wayside, he says he wants women out of combat roles, which means he believes that women are not equal to men. He's going to have to make that case to Joni Ernst today. He did. He met with her, and I think that's going to be the key linchpin to this entire nomination, is whether or not he can convince a Republican, much more moderate compared to him anyway, combat veteran who is herself a victim of sexual assault, that his policy positions are something she should support. Then there's all the other political baggage. We're going to find out how good Pete Hegseth is on TV now, because he's really going to be in the fire, and it's gotten to the point where he's actually got his mother out there, which I think is, I said this on an earlier show, I can't imagine what it would take for me to put my mother on TV to try to defend me. It's a really sad kind of moment, but that's what Trump requires. I mean, Trump requires loyalty, he requires fealty, but he's not going to return it. We already know that Trump is shopping around. He may be looking at DeSantis. He may look at Joni Ernst herself, who would be a historic pick as the first potential female Secretary of Defense, and there could be others that we're not even considering. But this is going downhill fast, and I think it's going to come down to a couple moderate senators that could flip literally any minute now.
The Democrats and the press are obsessed with personal accusations.
And you don't have any concerns about the allegations against him in the New Yorker article, sir?
No, I've looked at all the personal stuff, and again, I've known him for a long time, and I would, there's not going to be anything to this at the end of the day.
Paul?
When Tommy Tuberville is your lead advocate, your nomination is in big trouble. I mean, he knows so little about the military, about national security. This is the same guy who held up dozens of generals on a personal political quest, and he's not very good at it either. I mean, he's not making a very compelling case, and he most of all has to convince moderate Republicans. The people you're talking about are backbenchers or loyalists or really radicals themselves. Tommy Tuberville most of all. So this is not your strongest hand to put forward if you've got a nomination that's surging. And I think what we've seen is this has started to crumble because he's circumvented the process. You know, Trump's trying to throw a Hail Mary here. He knows it's a radical pick, and he's trying to push the Democrats. And what I keep telling folks is, look, it's not normal, it's not acceptable, and it's not inevitable. We can fight back. We can, you know, whether you're an independent, a Democrat, or a Republican, hold the line here, put patriotism first, put country over party and loyalty to Trump. And I think ultimately that will move a couple of moderate senators, because that's all you need. You just got to move 4 here, and Hegseth goes down, and then we'll have somebody else to deal with who will probably also be ridiculous, but won't be Hegseth.
And the bottom line is the only duty these United States senators have is to the Constitution and their country. They do not have a duty to Donald Trump. Somebody just needs to whisper that in their ear, maybe when Trump isn't looking, so they won't be scared. Tara Settenmeyer, John D. Miller, and Paul Rykoff, thank you very much.